Hello. Well, I decided I'm going to take 30 and 31 separate, so let's just kick into 30 and get this done real quick. It shouldn't be too complicated. It is just a matter of finding my forceps when I literally just had them here. Here we go. So essentially what you're doing is you're taking these two photo etched brackets, bending them up so that they can be glued to a flat surface, and putting in what essentially should be the back end of, I'm assuming they're the glad hands. Now, this will be something to pay attention to. They have a photo of it here, but I'm not exactly sure. Oh, okay. No, it makes sense. So these two go over here on what's going to be essentially the driver's side rear. And then this piece right here that we put together is going to go over onto the, or that should be the passenger side. This should be the driver's side rear. Should be pretty simple. Everything's been cleaned up, so I just have to sit and fold this. And again, you don't really get a good folding line. I mean, it's there, but it's kind of sad. But it is what it is. Take a look at it. The one side of the photo etch, there's a little ring of metal on it. That's what you want facing out. So you're going to fold this like so. I'm going to use my photo etched folder. Just bear with me here for a second. And for something like this, you can put both of them in there. And believe it or not, I even have a fly down here with me today. Isn't that lovely? Now the hard part is lining this up so that they fold on the edge that I want them to. But at least I know where my razor blade is for folding these up. So got those secured in. Grab my razor blade right here. Carefully go underneath them to fold it. I don't want to scratch those raised metal edges, those lips. So now we've got these parts done. Like so. And here's the metal plate, and that is going to be getting what looks like to be service lights or a service plug. I'm not exactly sure what the other one is without going into the research. But anyways, doesn't matter. This also needs to be folded because it's going to be kind of L-shaped. This one, however, it has the raised nibs for what's supposed to be bolts on one side and nothing on the other, but that does have a decent fold line on it. So we're just going to put that into the, I'm going to do it the other way, but put that right here into the photo etched folding machine, device, whatever. There we go. Get that in. I want that squared up a little bit better. There we go. And because of those faux bolts, it's already started to bend on its own, but I want to do this so it looks nice. Even though in real life, these things, these kind of sheet metal pieces on the end, I mean, they're probably more like thin steel plate. They do end up getting smacked, getting bent. Those things happen. Now, rather than gathering the truck and grabbing that, what you want to do is take a look at what you got here. This is the small nib end, not this long piece, but the actual nib that's going to go opposite the fold. So it's going to be this folded L bracket here, and then this part sticking out right here with the fold, or with the I don't know, the pointed part, long part, whatever, off to the side. It's not on the bottom. It's off to the side. Pay attention to the directions in that. So it's going to go like this. And yeah, nothing too crazy special about it. However, things may not want to fit the way that they show. I am just cleaning that off in case there's any sort of a mold line there. I'm going to use my black super glue again. Just squeeze a little bit out on the side off camera here onto a piece of plastic, just so I'm only working with a small amount. I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to put a little bit on the tip, and I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to put it on the plastic piece rather than on the photo etch. Mainly because I've got better grip on this. Then I'm going to take the photo etch. I'm going to make sure I've got that set properly to the side. I'm going to glue it on now. It doesn't really want to go in. It's being stubborn. It's a tight fit. Might actually be better that it's a tight fit. It's not going to go anywhere then. But getting a good solid fit on it is also going to be more difficult. Challenge of the build. Now, let's say, for example, that that's how I wanted to leave it, and there's a gap in there, and, you know, I'm just not comfortable with that. Is that going to be a good, secure build? Well, I can put some more super glue on my knife and kind of work it in there. I can check my alignment so that when this glue gets glued on, it looks good. See, just like that. You can see that I've got the bracket at the bottom, and I've got the long part on the side. Just have to do that again on the other one. Now, what I'm going to do with this one, just to make sure it goes in there, and let's see how much work it takes. I've removed the glue from off the tip. I want to see how much trimming or how much of a problem there is towards getting that in that photo etched hole. That seems kind of important. Now I've got the part here. I know you can't really see it, but essentially I'm kind of fighting with this. So it looks like when Trumpeter made the nubs on the end of this, or Hobby Boss, I guess, but they didn't really take into account that they should either make that hole bigger or this smaller. Well, in my experience, making a photo etched hole bigger is a lot more of a headache than thinning down that nub. So that said, now that I've reduced that a bit, put some glue on it. Put the piece on. Now I'm going to use the forceps to try and get it to fit on there nicely. Hopefully without launching it into outer space. And you do have to be careful while you're forcing it around, because you might stretch or mangle the previous bend you did already with the foot, if you want to call it that. Now I'm still having trouble getting this to go on nicely. Nice thing is that the glue seems to have already set, and it's pretty rock solid, so I'm happy with that. But let's see how these other pieces on this side do with this. I can already tell you I'm a little skeptical that these are going to fit on there without any problem. Oh, look, I guess I didn't clean this up. My mistake. Again, taking the glue off the tip. Let's get into this. I thought that I had already cleaned these parts up for doing this. My mistake. But when I looked at the little pieces down there, they were cleaned up. That has been now cleaned up. And this piece here, you know what, it looks clean, but I'm just gonna smooth it out a little bit more. I don't know if I cleaned it or if I just did a good job nibbing it off, but let's make sure. So there we go. So now I've gone through, cleaned those up. But again, well, hey, that's actually pretty nice to know. Now, one of the things with this light is, for whatever reason, I don't think when I nibbed this off, I pinched it or put something on it, but it's got a little bit of a dimple. And I'm using soft, like my fingernail in particular, rather than something hard, kind of push that back in so that it keeps that rounded shape, rather than, if I used metal, it might flatten out going in. But it's good to see that fit just like it's supposed to. And then this piece with the slot on the side is supposed to get the back side of this port, or whatever you want to call it. And if you look at it, the port has like a little step out and kind of a little flat piece on what I'm calling the bottom, and a round over the top. And take that into mind. Everything I'm seeing says that it should go in like this, with the flat towards the fold. Now, what I'm running into is it doesn't want to fit into the hole. Can I get it to fit? Yep, it'll fit. Just needs a little glue. Now, both of these fit. I need to put some of that super glue on there, my black super glue, but I'm putting it on the photo etch side this time to start with, just because this stuff fits. I know I'm not going to have a problem. I'm starting with the smaller piece first. Make sure I have it oriented correctly. Put it in place. The photo etch is a little bit off, but that'll work. And I hope you can see that I have the flat towards the bend. And then going with the light, find the hole, put it in. With the flat piece up, it looks like. I am looking now. Oh, yep, just like that. So that when it goes, and you can see on the illustration there, when this gets glued on, the flat piece will be that way, and that pointier part on the smaller part is also that way. So, right now, we can wait for this to dry out. What I'm going to do, because I can, this shouldn't be a problem, is I'm going to put some glue on the back side of this. Now, on a real vehicle, there would be fasteners to hold everything onto this, but there's also going to be a stub coming out of each one of these somewhere, whether it's directly out of the back or out of the top for the wiring. Now, I'm not worried about the wiring, but In case you're worried, well, you know, do I glue that? Do I sand it down, make it flat? I would look for a photo of this area first on the M1070 tractor unit. If you can't find one, then it can be up to you. It's not going to be an easy to see spot, but if you're looking for authenticity and you want it to be perfect, that's what I would recommend you do. Now, where is this going to fit on the chassis? All right, carefully holding this. It is going down here. So, just so I have my positive marker, just put a little glue there. That's for the big part. That's this right here. I'm also going to put this with a little bit of glue on each side. Plop that on. Then I'm going to take my forceps. Do that. Now, just as a reminder, on the real deal, it's not going to be perfectly square. They'll try to do it, don't get me wrong, but you're gonna find at least one or two vehicles out there, if not more, where something's gotten bent over time, or something, you know, it was a Tuesday or whatever. So if you put yours on and for some reason it just doesn't get square, or something happens and it's not the way, if you're happy with it, if you're like, oh, well, you know, sometimes it happens, don't fret anything. If you're like me and you're not so cool with that, well, keep working at it. But it doesn't have to be perfectly square all the time with some of this stuff. And this is what I've observed in real life versus, you know, I mean, we want our models to look good, don't get me wrong. But it's sometimes just that little bit of oddity that gives it a little bit of character. And it's not off base. It's not like, oh, we're sitting here creating, you know, mythic legends out of whole cloth, and nothing is as it should be, and it's completely crazy. Have some fun with it. Don't get too crazy with the absolute metrics of perfection. So now I'm taking my debonder and putting it on my Q-tip. Again, carefully picking up our very delicate chassis, making sure that we're not messing anything up. And I'm just going to go in and clean away just the edge. Now, I don't want to take everything off, just the bare minimum, because then it kind of looks like the welding or other bonding that goes on, just in case somebody wants to pick this up and look at it from underneath. And again, this isn't going to be my build. This isn't going to be my finish. This is what I'm building for somebody else, but there you go. A little bit of debonder. I'm happy with how that looks. So that gets us through step 30. Step 31, going to be a bit of a bear. We'll get to that. Thanks, and see you in 31.